was a dark and stormy night. The rain fell in heavy sheets, and thunder rumbled far away. Lily sat alone in her small, cozy living room. The flickering candlelight made spooky shadows on the walls. She loved the rain, but tonight felt different and creepy. She curled up on the couch with a hot cup of tea, trying to read her book. The sound of the rain on the window usually soothed her, but tonight it sounded like whispers. She thought it was just her imagination. As Lily read, she heard a faint knock at the front door. She froze, her heart racing. Who would visit at this hour in such weather? She hesitated, but the knocking continued, persistent and demanding. She put down her book and cautiously went to the door. Through the peephole, she saw a figure standing in the rain. Gathering her courage, she opened the door a little, the chain lock still in place. "Can I help you?" she asked, trying to sound brave. The figure, a wet man with a hood covering his face, stepped closer. "Please, I need help. My car broke down a mile back. Can I come in and use your phone?" Reluctantly, Lily unchained the door and let the man inside. He dripped water everywhere, and she handed him a towel. He thanked her and took off his hood, showing a thin face with sharp eyes. Lily showed him the phone in the kitchen. As he made his call, she felt uneasy. He spoke quietly, glancing at her with a strange intensity. After he finished his call, he thanked her again and got ready to leave. Before he went out the door, he said, "Be careful. There are things out there tonight you wouldn't want to meet." After the man left, Lily tried to read her book again, but the whispers outside grew louder. She turned on the radio to drown out the noise, but the static made her more uneasy. The whispering seemed to come from all around her, growing clearer. Suddenly the lights flickered and went out, plunging the room into darkness. Lily grabbed her flashlight and shone it at the windows, seeing nothing but rain. She decided to check the circuit breaker in the basement. As she went downstairs, the whispers followed her, growing louder. In the basement, the whispers were almost deafening. They seemed to come from the walls. Trembling, Lily shone her flashlight around, seeing dusty, cluttered space. Her eyes landed on an old trunk in the corner. Something urged her to open the trunk. Inside, she found old photos, letters, and a diary. She realized they belonged to the previous owner, a woman named Margaret who had disappeared long ago. The last entry in the diary sent chills down her spine. "The shadows are whispering again. They know my name. They want me to join them." As Lily read the diary, the whispers grew louder and more understandable. They called her name, urging her to join them. Panic set in, and she tried to run back upstairs, but an invisible force held her in place. The room grew colder, and the shadows seemed to come alive, swirling around her. In her final moment of terror, she realized the man's warning wasn't about the storm outside, but the evil presence in the house. The next morning, the neighbors found Lily's house eerily quiet. The front door was wide open, and she was nowhere to be found. The only clue was the diary left open on the floor, its pages fluttering in the breeze, whispering secrets of the shadows that had taken another soul. Emily was driving home late at night. The full moon made the winding road look spooky. She had stayed late at work to finish some urgent tasks. Now she just wanted to get home and into bed. The road was empty, and the thick forest on both sides made a tunnel of shadows that felt like they were closing in on her. The sound of the engine was the only noise, with occasional rustling leaves in the wind. As she went around a curve, her headlights flickered, making her grip the steering wheel tighter. She felt uneasy, but blamed it on being tired. At midnight, Emily's phone rang, startling her. She looked at the screen. It was an unknown number. She hesitated, but answered out of curiosity. There was silence, then a faint crackling noise. Just as she was about to hang up, a distorted voice whispered, "Turn around." Her heart skipped a beat. "Who is this?" she asked, but the line went dead. Shaken, she threw the phone onto the passenger seat and kept driving, telling herself it was just a prank. A few miles down the road, she saw a "Detour Ahead" sign. Frustrated, she followed the signs onto a narrow dirt road. The further she drove, the more alone she felt. The forest seemed to close in, with trees casting long, scary shadows. Suddenly, her car sputtered, and the engine died. She tried to restart it, but it wouldn't work. Cursing her luck, she reached for her phone to call for help, but there was no signal. Emily sat in her car, the eerie silence pressing in around her. She felt a growing sense of dread, like someone was watching her. She looked at the dark forest, imagining shapes and movements in the shadows. Then she heard a soft tapping on the window. She jumped, her heart racing, and saw a figure standing outside the driver's side window, their face hidden in the darkness. Terrified, Emily slowly rolled down the window a little. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice trembling. The figure leaned in, showing a pale, gaunt face with hollow eyes. "Your car seems to be having trouble," the stranger said in a low, rough voice. "Need a hand?" Emily's instincts told her to refuse, but she was stuck in the middle of nowhere. I guess so," she said reluctantly. The stranger opened the hood and worked on the engine for a few moments before saying, "Try it now." Emily turned the key, and to her relief, the engine roared to life. "Thank you," she said, still wary. The stranger nodded. "Be careful out here. You never know what you might run into." Emily quickly drove away, glancing in her rearview mirror to see the stranger standing by the side of the road, watching her. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. As she went around a bend, her phone rang again. It was the same unknown number. With trembling hands, she answered, "Hello?" The distorted voice whispered, "You should have never picked him up." Her blood ran cold. She looked in her rearview mirror again, but the road behind her was empty. She was sure she hadn't picked anyone up. Panic set in as she realized the true horror of the situation. She hadn't picked him up. He had been waiting for her. As she sped down the deserted road, the whispers on the phone grew louder, mixing with the sounds of the forest around her until they became one with the wind. The next morning, Emily's car was found abandoned on the side of the road, the engine still running. Of Emily there was no sign, and the only clue was her phone, lying on the seat with a single chilling message on the screen. "We warned you."